Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for today's webinar on how to prevent ransomware, zero-day threats or zero-day attacks with ESET and Microbe. My name's Grant Smith, I'm the Communications and Conference Manager at Connecting Up and TechSoup New Zealand. Connecting Up and TechSoup New Zealand are part of the Info Exchange Group, a not-for-profit social enterprise that tackles the biggest social challenges through the smart and creative use of technology. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. All lines are muted, so if you have any technical issues, please type those into the questions box on your webinar panel and I will be able to assist you. Just to note that most technical issues are to do with bandwidth, so if you're having anything slow up or you've got a lag, the best thing to do is close anything that you're not using. And if you're having technical issues with the platform or with the webinar platform, sometimes the best way to fix those is just to exit and re-enter. If anything else comes up, please do message me. Please note that this workshop is being recorded and a link to the recording and slides will be sent to you after it ends. So your presenter today is Leonardo Corso. Leonardo is pre-sales engineer for ESET Australia. He has 20 years of experience in the IT industry and has been working with cybersecurity and ESET for 6 years. So he's very experienced and will be able to give you lots of useful information today. Also on the line is Alison Conti from Microbe. We want to ensure the session is as helpful for you as possible, so please do engage and ask questions using the questions panel. And we will pass those on to Leonardo at the end. We'll also have a couple of polls. We'll be asking you some questions, so please participate and fill those in. They won't stay up for long, so be quick. Look, that is quite enough from me. I will now hand you over to Leonardo. Leonardo, over to you.
I appreciate it.
Leonardo,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
It's a classic from lockdown days. You were on mute. So my apologies for that. So thank you everyone for joining in today. I really appreciate you taking a bit of a busy time aside to join this webinar and to hear a little bit about zero-day attacks and ransomware and all these buzzwords that have been shaping and saying a lot about what cybersecurity is being, what's been happening on the cybersecurity space. So you're more than welcome to pop in any questions you might have to the presentation. So feel free to ping those questions on the chat panel. I'll be answering them by the end of this presentation. All right, so just give me a second. As I was introduced earlier, I'm Leonardo Corso, pre-sales engineer for ESET Australia. I'm slightly different on the picture for what I'm looking like on the webcam, so my apologies for that. I've been working as a pre-sales engineer in ESET Australia for the last 6 months, but I used to work previously for ESET Distributor in New Zealand, a company called Chilisoft. I worked for them for around 5.5 years. So I was lucky enough to be exposed to a lot of the ESET technology and also about the cybersecurity and everything that's been happening at the moment. So what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about breaches, right? So I'm quite sure that everyone around has heard about a breach that happened or any news coming up saying like data has been stolen, you can find this confidential information on the dark web. So I'm sure that this is not news for you, okay? It's almost a daily news that someone is suffering with a cyber attack, right? No one is safe. It's a small, medium, enterprise, and also the odd home user. So could be me, could be you, could be your parents, could be your neighbor. So everyone these days could be exposed to an attack or to data leak, right? So as you can see here, I'm putting in this slide things that I quickly did a Google search and I could find around Australia or Asia Pacific, and also a few worldwide names that have been impacted by a cybersecurity attack. So cybercrime is a huge business. In fact, the whole industry is estimated in $1.5 trillion annually. That's right, $1.5 trillion annually is what the cybercrime as a business is worth. So the cyber criminals these days, they have the money, they have the resource, and they have the motivation to invest their time and their expertise to build even more sophisticated malware or viruses with the goal of breaking the securities that big, small, medium companies have. Okay, so and doing this, they do it not for fun. Back in the day, back in the 80s, maybe in the 90s as well, these hackers, or the bad guys as also known, they used to do this for fun. They used to do this for fun and literally just to have a laugh. But as the years went by, they started like, well, you know what? We can start making money out of this. And that's what is happening today. A cyber criminal can take home around 150,000 US dollars per month, right? And actually I was talking about that the other day with a friend of mine, and he said, dude, you're on the wrong side. You should be doing on the bad side so you get more money. But obviously that's not what I'm up to. This is not my thing. I would not be exposing myself to that. But just so you have an idea how much money these people can make on creating these viruses and trying to break through the securities that these companies have in place. As you can see, recently, Service in New South Wales was hit by an email that compromised the network, and there was so many information that was leaked. If I'm not wrong, it was around 45 mailboxes from important people within the Service in New South Wales organization that were affected by that. So that's quite bad, and this shows that such a huge company, and I'm sure they have a lot of practice in place, they manage to break through the environment. So this is really, really worry, right? So it's a big issue. But how these hackers are doing that? They're doing that by what is called the zero-day attack or a zero-day vulnerability. So this is basically the zero-day vulnerability is a software vulnerability that is unknown, or it hasn't been addressed by those who should be interested in mitigating this vulnerability. Okay, a few months, no, actually, like last month, there was a it was publicly around, like everyone was could see through the news, especially in the cybersecurity industry, the important vendor and they are a security vendor, and they were hacked. And through this hack, a lot of data and a lot of information from government organs, mostly from the United States, were leaked because the software had a vulnerability that hackers found that there was a gap on the security and they could use that. So that's called a zero-day attack or a zero-day vulnerability. And until this vulnerability is mitigated, the hackers can continue to exploit and steal data, steal information, and so on. We probably, all you might have heard the WannaCry ransomware that actually happened in 2014, maybe 2015. I can't remember exactly when it happened, but what that virus did, it exploited a Microsoft patch that caused panic in many networks across the world. So what happened? Microsoft computers or Windows computers, they had a patch missing. They were open to the wild, exposed to this virus. And what happened? Many companies, many people, many organizations got infected and got impacted by this virus. That was a nightmare. I remember the day a customer called me, and it was a Saturday morning. A customer called me asking me if I knew what was going on. But for me, it was a Saturday morning. I had no idea what's going on. I try not to be close to computers on the weekends. But for me, it was a worry. And I started seeing in the news what was happening. And it was really funny because this attack, it reminded a little bit of the attacks that were happening in the 90s, where a computer would get hacked or get a virus, and like a funny screen like this one would come up, right? So these attacks were, they sort of tailored, can be also tailored to a particular organization. So cyber criminals, they are selling this type of attacks on the dark web, and they are calling the cybercrime as a service. So you probably have heard of the product as a service, but also now we do have cybercrime as a service. And there is a wide range of ransomware and packages that are on sale on the dark web. So if you visit the dark web, you could possibly buy an attack and target someone. I do highly recommend you not to do that, okay? Do not do that, but just so you know, it is possible to happen. What we have here, and I have this screenshot, I actually obviously Google it, but this shows, this is the airport. If I'm not wrong, it's an airport in Germany, most likely to be in Frankfurt. They were a victim of a ransomware on that zero-day attack. And what happened? All the airport had to be shut down because of this attack. It was a zero-day attack. They were not prepared. The environment was not fully secure, was not fully patched, and all the network got the ransomware and got encrypted. So that, again, that shows like what I mentioned earlier about CERT New South Wales. Like these companies, I'm sure they have great policies in place. They have great rules. They have a lot of security behind on in front of them to protect their network. But that shows that everyone could be exposed to risk, right? And when I mentioned that I got a call on that the zero-day attack, I got a call from customers asking me what was happening and if ESET was protecting them. Yes, lucky enough, ESET was protecting them. And this is, oops, I'm just back one page. So this is a screenshot from our product picking up the attack on that zero-day attack. I remember I had no customers impacted with the attack. I had friends that they didn't use ESET, they used all the antivirus and all the products, they were attacked. And that was really bad for them. For me, as I said, working for ESET and using ESET products, it made me feel safe. And also I had to I could guarantee to my customers that they were safe as well. So none of them got impacted. And ESET was able to pick that zero-day attack on the spot, which was amazing. And I can explain in more detail later how we picked that attack. So also, as I mentioned, that anyone can buy an attack. Anyone can hire a service to exploit or attack someone, to put them down or to steal data. If you go to the dark web, this is an example of a page that they sell the ransomware. So again, anyone could buy an attack and tag it in a company or an organization or even an individual. But again, I highly recommend you to not do that. Okay, do not do that. You can get caught and you can be penalized quite heavily on that, right? And this is just like the type of, they even offer you different packages, like buy a package for a month, 6 months, 12 months, and this offer them all types of attacks and everything that they can do. But again, guys, I keep repeating and I will repeat over and over and over again, do not do that. Do not go to the dark web, all right? So, but how networks can be compromised and how can you avoid to being exposed to a breach, right? A lot of people might say like, how can you stop? Or you even might ask me like, I don't want I don't want to even avoid, I want to stop. Well, I don't like to use that. I like to say we can minimize, because again, nothing is 100%. There is not such a thing in security as 100%. And if there is, I would be open to hear what your opinion is, but I still haven't found what this 100% means, right? There will always be a way to bypass. But again, you can avoid and you can minimize the risk, right? And this is how it all works, okay? What I'm gonna show you here is how an attack could happen. And these days, the most popular attacks, type of attacks, it's coming through phishing emails, okay? And also through USB devices. Just this morning, I got a lovely message on my mobile saying that DHL could not deliver me a package. And I was like, obviously I didn't order anything. I knew, but it was very suspicious that out of the blue, I would get an SMS saying that DHL could not deliver me a package. It could be the case that I was expecting something, but generally when you order something, you know what is the type of delivery that will be performed. The SMS had a link. If I clicked on that link, which I didn't, obviously, it could have compromised my Android device. Yeah, I use Android, so Android could be exposed to virus, right? So that's a classic way. So that's called a phishing attack. So for networks or for organizations, the way they could start is you have your nice clean network and someone will try to attack you, sending you an email with a phishing website. It could be a link saying, hey, please see the classic PDF, or please see this PDF, an attachment from the bank or from a customer. But people are busy. People are very busy with their tasks, and they could be also doing multiple tasks at the same time. They don't think twice, and they just go ahead, click on the link, and then what will happen? You compromise the network, and you could get data stolen, or the data could be encrypted. And same happens with USB devices. Someone might give you an USB device to, oh, just can you save whatever information here? People just plug the USB device on computers. There is no, the network could not have a USB or a device control policy. That USB device could be compromised and could be hacked. It's a very popular story. A big organization in the States, I think that happened just a few years ago. People that worked in the company, they came out for lunch break, and as they went to the car park to pick up their cars and go out for lunch, they noticed that on the windscreen of a lot of the cars there was USB drives, and people are like, oh, what's this USB drive? Let's find out, because we human beings, we are curious by nature, and what we're going to do with a USB drive that we don't know what it is, we're going to plug into a computer to find out. And that was an attack to this particular company. That particular company had a lot of data stolen and made public available to the web and to the dark web. But there's another attack that is also very popular these days, which is social engineering. And this is something that is happening more and more and more and more with the use of the classic and the so lovely social medias, because we post things on social media. It's easy to find information about someone. It's easy to find where they work. It's easy to find where they live. So anyone could pretend to be part of an organization, call you, pretend to be you, and simulate an attack. The other day, I received an email from my CEO asking me to give him to reply the email with my WhatsApp because he had urgent business to do with me. Obviously, I knew there was an attack, but imagine for someone that it's not very aware that this kind of things could be happening, and receive an email from the CEO asking, can you please transfer 60 grand to my account because there's an emergency, I need to do a payment. And that happens a lot. How they do, hackers, they will find who works in the financial team for company ABC. They will find, it's easy to find. You can go on LinkedIn, do a search, and you find it. They can simply send an email pretending to be someone else and make them part of a scam. So attacks are very easy to do. There's two types of attacks are very easy to perform, and it's very easy for people to get caught on them, right? And there's a simple way to avoid this is to provide cyber awareness training. This is something that I highly recommend people to do it. Even those that think they are tech savvy and they understand about everything and they know about computers, I recommend. I've done this myself, and I think it's very important. As ESET, we provide cybersecurity awareness training for free. So if you go to our website and you search for cybersecurity awareness training, or if you simply just Google ESET cybersecurity awareness training, you can create an account and enroll everyone in your organization to do this training. It's very easy and it's very informative, and it helps a lot for everyone to understand how attacks work and how to avoid them. So I highly recommend you to have a look on that and get people from your organization to do a cybersecurity awareness training, because that can, again, it won't stop an attack, it won't stop a virus, but will minimize the risk. Okay. Another way to increase your security is to have and make sure you have password policies and 2FA enabled on your network. Weak credentials is a classic in the industry, and tell me how many times we've heard and seen people using silly passwords. IT teams can increase the length and the complexity of the passwords that will make users to write the passwords down on a stick note and store it in a secure place. So it's easy to create a policy, make it really tricky and really hard for people to have hard passwords, but what they're going to do, they're not going to remember. So the classic is, you see around, if you walk around in your office, you'll see that someone has, oh, I can't remember my password. I'm just going to create username, my password, and I'm going to stick under my laptop or under my keyboard. So by the way, I took these pictures, but this is not my password. Okay, this is just for demonstrations purpose, but I'm sure you've seen this around, right? So this is a classic way of having passwords to be leaked, and anyone could copy this password and log in on your behalf. So having 2FA enable, which is the two-factor authentication, it will help to solve the access concerns for remote access, accessing the local computer, or VPN as well. So the two-factor authentication will add an extra password that will be gained either through SMS or through an app that will be installed on your mobile. Okay, and that when you try to log in, you'll be prompted for this password. We do have a 2FA technology that can be added to your security roadmap and also make your environment more safe around the passwords. I'm just gonna quick, Grant, if you are listening to me, I think I forgot to ask you about the questions. I don't know if you guys are getting some questions popping up on your screen. If you do have, I'd love to hear from you your opinions on the questions that might be popping up very soon. So
hey,
please
Leonardo.
answer. Oh, yes,
no questions just yet, but we do have that poll. Shall we launch the poll?
Yes, please launch the poll. Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Okay, so everybody, have you been a victim of ransomware? That's the poll. Just launching that now.
That's good. I'll give some few seconds for everyone to answer. And I think we have another one, don't we?
we do. All right,
Awesome.
let's do this. So I'll close that. We've got 80% haven't been affected.
Haven't been 80%.
Haven't, but 20% have.
Okay. Wow.
Let's launch that other poll. So do you have a policy and two-factor authentication app to increase your password security? Launching that now.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
All right, 25% have, 75% haven't. We've got
Oh,
one
wow.
more that we'll do quickly.
One more question.
Do you perform regularly any cybersecurity awareness training in your organization? Just going to start that one now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, there you go. 20% have, but 80% haven't. And I will leave you to it, Leonardo.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And my apologies, Grant. I was too focused on the presentation. I forgot about the poll. So thanks for the reminder. My apologies on that. So it's great to hear from everyone in how, you know, regarding the ransomware attacks, the 20% that have been impacted. Also 2FA and the cybersecurity awareness. Again, I'll repeat to you guys the cybersecurity awareness training that we have available on our website. You don't have to be our customer. Ideally, I would love you to be our customer and to use our products. But that cybersecurity awareness training is free and available for those that want to do and get everyone. Again, I highly encourage you to do it. It's not very technical, so anyone can do it, and it's very easy to understand. And the whole graphics and the animation on the training, it's quite amazing. So please take your time, have a look, and get everyone on board. It's very important for organizations to have this rollout as part of induction, and also this is a type of training that people should be doing. It's like the fire drill, right? So you should be doing this from time to time to make sure people know what to do in certain situations. All right, so just carry on. Another way that you can do to avoid this is mostly mainly for how to avoid your data to be stolen, is through encrypting, performing a full disk encryption. Right? We also do have a solution that it is for full disk encryption, and the way it works is it will encrypt the whole hard drive on a laptop or a workstation or even on a server, which means if you're walking around with your laptop and you're catching the train and suddenly you drop out from the train and you realize that you left your laptop in the train, anyone could get your laptop, take home and remove the hard drive and get access to your information. So someone could be watching you, could be they know that you are the CEO or the CFO from an important organization, and they aiming you, they are targeting you to steal your data. They could do that. Now, if you encrypt your C drive, you avoid for the data to be leaked, because there's no way that they will be able to access that because the data is encrypted, right? So how ESET Technology works to avoid all these attacks, these target attacks, zero-day attacks? The way it works is, so what is happening, the world is changing, and so us as a company, you know, these days you have so many things around the cybersecurity. It used to be just a virus, but now there are so many things. We go from compliance, we have target attacks, as I keep managing this. We have the cyber warfare, we have the Internet of Things, we have machine learning. We have so many things around cybersecurity, and we need to be able to detect, prevent, and predict this type of attacks. Okay, and the way our technology works around that is, most of people think like, well, it's an antivirus, they scan for viruses, and that's it. Not really. Well, it is, but we do a lot more than that. Okay, I like to compare our technology as the protection in our house. If you have your house, how you protect your house, right? You don't protect only closing the doors, right? You might have different types of protection. You might have the smoke detector, you might have CCTV, you might have your dog, you might have a fire alarm, a fire sprinkler, you might have a security system, and so on, right? You don't have only one way to ensure that your belongings are protected. You might have many, and that's how our technology works. We do have many layers of protection to protect your computer and your network. So again, we are very old school vendor, as they call, right? Our product, what it does is scan for virus. It does scan for virus, but we do a lot more than that. We have 15 layers of protection that will constantly be watching your network and your endpoints to ensure that you are protected and that you'll be safe against any type of threats, right? Maybe one of these layers might not pick an attack, but another one could easily pick. Like I mentioned earlier about USB attacks, we do have a part on our product that's called the device control, that as soon as someone plugs a USB on your computer, the product will right away identify if that USB has any sort of malicious virus or a malicious code that could attack your network. Our products contain advanced machine learning, and in fact, ESET has been using machine learning since the mid-90s. Machine learning was not even a terminology and was not even a buzzy word as it is these days. But we've been working with that since the mid-90s, actually 1995, and machine learning has been part of our product since 1997. So ESET has many technologies to ensure that all our customers are protected. Again, machine learning is one of them. We have the ESET Live Grid, which is a sensors worldwide detecting all new type of virus that could be popping up out in the web. And as soon as there's a new virus discovered, all the endpoints will known, either from your home computer to your business computer. If you use ESET, we are constantly updating our technology to let you know that there's a new virus and there's a new type of threat. And our product has one of the most strong type of detection technologies with a behavior detection and blocking, which is called the HIPS, which basically means if there is a type of threat going on that could be attacking your computer, the product works by behavior. So if there's something wrong going on, it will alert, it will raise an alarm, it will stop the attack from happening. It's like a dog, like I mentioned about the the protection around your house. If there's something weird going on around, your dog will bark. So that's sort of like what the behavior detection works. It will make noise and will stop that from happening. Okay. Technology is we use also a lot of deep learning. So with AI, we do use neural networks and classification of algorithms. And so these all knowledge and experience that we've been able to precisely identify various technologies and introduce us to our products. So we do have AI, we do have machine learning, but nothing of this technology can be as good as having a very important key, that it is the human expertise. Machine learning and AI are very good to detect viruses, to detect new threats, but they still not mature enough to identify 100% or nearly the 100%, because as I mentioned earlier, there's nothing 100%. AI and machine learning, they're very good to identify, let's say, what's white and what's black. But if there is a gray in the middle, it could confuse these technologies. So that's why when our human expertise and our 30 years of experience in cybersecurity is added to the plate, and we are able to identify and classify new types of threats, right? We call this our machine learning engine, and we call ESET Augur, and it is, again, it's part of all the products, from the home product to your business product. Okay, so the principles of our technology is very reliable. Okay, we do have a high detection, and this is something that it's easy for an vendor to say, but if you do a search, if you do your research about antivirus products, you will find that ESET is one of the top, if not the number one, on the high level of detection of viruses. Any product can identify viruses, but most of them identify a lot of false positives, which ESET is known for not picking it up. We are very well known for the zero to none detection of false positives. So we have a high detection of real viruses. Our products are amazingly good, and they also give you a low performance impact, which means it does not gonna drain all the usage of CPU or memory on your computer. So it's a very light product. And also it's a very easy product to use. We provide training, we provide guidance and free support for our customers. So if you ever have a product, or if you ever need some guidance on how to use our product, our team will be capable to help and to drive it through any questions or any problems that you might have. All right, so guys, this is basically what I had for today. If you have your questions, please feel free to pop them through, and I'll be more than happy to answer them.
No questions just at the moment, Leonardo, but we can give that a couple of minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I have a question. Anything that sort of stood out for you with remote working and COVID? Anything that's sort of any interesting stories that you've been picking up?
Well, heaps of stories. I guess the classic is the password. I think the password and the way organizations are making people to access the environment has played a big key, because no one was ready for that, right? So suddenly, obviously, COVID hit, and then everyone has to work from home, which means they had to expose the networks. They had to open the network so people could connect from outside the office. And sometimes small companies, they might not have the resource, they might not have the money, or even the knowledge that just like, okay, guys, you can just connect in and it will be fine. And there's no protection. What happens is networks are exposed. So that's why products like 2FA comes in very handy, because to connect to a network, you need to have your LAN password, but also you need two-factor authentication as well, right? So, and I've seen cases on passwords that were leaked, or customers that had, or people that had password, very strong passwords called password 123. So it makes it easy for hackers and the bad guys to hack environments and get data stolen. So the 2FA is playing a big and very important role for allowing people to remote connect through VPNs and through remote desktop connections. So 2FA, it's very important, and our product supports both the VPN connections and also RDP connections. So this is something I highly recommend everyone to have in place.
And 2FA is two-factor authentication, which is 2 levels of password, or
yeah, exactly. So it's that classic, like you might have seen that on when you try to access your bank, or when you try to do a transaction through the bank. You obviously you are logged in, but you will, if you try to do some like a high amount transaction, it will ask you to enter you will receive an SMS, and then you enter the SMS code to allow you to go ahead. So this is a 2FA. The way we do have our 2FA, it can be used in that way, but also if you try to access, let's say through a remote desktop connection, you try to access an environment, or let's say from your house, you try to access your server on your company, you will be typing your username and your password, okay, which is very simple. However, when you try to log in, it will prompt, please enter your 2FA. The only way you can get this 2FA if you have installed on your mobile through an app that ESET has and provides you, or you will receive, we will send you an SMS for authentication. That avoids anyone that could know your password or break a password to log in and do anything on your behalf, right? Because you're the only one that will have access to that 2FA. And this second factor authentication password, it expires every 30 seconds or maybe every minute, which means it will never be the same password. You always will be refreshing, it will always be changing. So it's a very good way to increase the security and remote connections.
Fantastic. Look, I think you've done such a good job that we don't have any questions, which just
good.
Done a good job. That's great. Look, I think we've given people enough time, so I think I will take the opportunity to say thank you, Leonardo. That was a really good presentation. I know I learned
thank
a
you
lot.
very much, Brent. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. So I hope all of our attendees found the presentation useful. You will receive the slides and a link to the video presentation afterwards, so you can look at it again. But until next time, we'll finish up and suffice to say, thanks for joining us. Do fill in the questionnaire afterwards so that we can continue to improve our webinars. And otherwise, we will see everybody soon. Take care.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone.